My background is I've been representing as an attorney domestic clients, and primarily women, for now some 25 years. I've also been a prosecutor in city courts, and I've been a municipal judge in Andalusia, Alabama, since 2008. And so from a lot of different angles, I've been able to work on cases that dealt with domestic violence. And so, when I was approached about this issue, it just seemed like something that I had to be a part of, that I need to be a part of. You can't just say you've done this bill, you've passed a bill, and you've fixed domestic violence. It doesn't work that way. Domestic violence, it changes. It's changed in the 25 years I've been practicing law. 25 years ago, when people would say domestic violence, they were typically talking about physical, brutal violence. And of course, that happens. But abusers learn those things and learn changes in the law, and then they adjust their behavior. And so over time, domestic violence became multiple forms that we would see. And we were seeing some less of the physical, brutal violence, and we were seeing a lot more sexual abuse, a lot more emotional and mental abuse. And it was clearly about power and abusers having power over their victims. And they would do it through humiliation. They would do it by finances and having control of the checkbook. And they would do it through physical abuse and just harming people and the threat of harm. And so the law has to adjust and change to be able to address those changes and those problems. The other goal of this law was to try to approach domestic violence not from one position or one point of reference, but to try to help prevent it, to try to help respond better to it, to try to help law enforcement have the tools and also the knowledge of how to use the tools to combat domestic violence. When we started this bill, we looked at all of those areas, and we met and talked with experts from all around this issue, from victims to shelter supervisors to law enforcement, judges. We talked with everybody that we could that brought some knowledge to the issue. One of the great things that came through this bill is that we were able to provide more funding for domestic violence shelters.
In 2015, the legislature passed a fee increase for marriage licenses across the state. Governor Bentley signed the legislation into law, and a portion of that marriage license fee increase is put into the Domestic Violence Trust Fund and comes to ADECA, and then we, by formula, by quarter, award those dollars out to those agencies, those local domestic violence shelters.
The original amount that we collected for marriage license at the time of this bill was approximately $1.5 million. And so our goal was to double the amount to help with shelters. And so our goal was to get it closer to $3 million. And this is where we created the Domestic Violence Trust Fund. This is a fund that its sole purpose is to help shelters and to get them in the condition they need to be, and to bring new shelters into place as there is a need shown. And it's administered through ADECA. And ADECA was the best place we could find for this money to come through, because ADECA's had such a great history in managing money for grants and managing the disbursement of money and of monitoring and making sure the money was used for the purpose it was intended.
It was natural for the legislature in that act to just put that money here and allow the administrative responsibilities to come to us without creating a new bureaucracy. We're already here. Our folks are already very familiar with these programs, very familiar with the people running these programs, and have a real strong history. And we are the state's premier grant-making agency, and so it just makes sense that that fund would come here.
And so we looked at it as there's not a need to reinvent a new commission or a new group. We've got this great office, ADECA, that has such a long history of doing this exact thing. Why not ask the office to help us in this situation as well? My hope is that this has helped, but I also realize for the same reason we had to bring this bill in 2015, that in a short matter of time, abusers will learn of these changes, and they will start changing their methods again, and we'll have to readdress this issue. And so this is not something that we'll ever fix. It's something that we have to be prepared for and to confront it as it changes and address the issue as long as it takes.